Well, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat Survival Saturday video. Okay, so this is not going to be a how-to video. I need to say that right up front. Um, but I'm going to talk about a skill that I think is very important to have no matter what, what our circumstances are. So, here goes. I was working on this today. I do this particular thing just about every day. Yeah, and that's canning. I think that it's an extremely important skill to have. It's not really all that difficult. It's pretty easy to learn, and I'm not doing any how-to videos on it. Don't even ask me to. And that's mainly because I probably fall under the category of a rebel canner, in that I do my own thing on some things. I have my own way of doing things based on many years of experience. And so everything I do is not necessarily FDA approved. And I know that gets things flagged. And here's my thing. If you've never canned before, if you're just learning, I think it's important to do everything. Just do it the way the FDA says to do it, and learn to do it their way. And then as you become more and more experienced, you may come to some conclusions that the FDA hasn't approved. And yeah. And you might just kind of venture off on your own on a few things. But for the basics, I think it's best to first learn the approved way. I won't even say it's the right way, because there's some things I don't even agree with them on. But I definitely have ventured out over the years and challenged myself to find ways to can things that the FDA doesn't cover. I'm pretty much can just about anything and everything. And so I don't want to start you off with maybe some of my, what might be looked at as bad habits. Okay? You gotta develop your own bad habits and rebel way of doing things. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I will say this, on YouTube, like, I might get an item that isn't covered under the FDA guidelines, and, a food item. This happened to me a few years ago. I got several gallons of something that was given to me, and it was going to expire. It's not like it has a very long shelf life. And I was like, wow, I wonder if you can can it, because, so this particular item, the FDA didn't have anything to cover it. And honestly, my canning books are from the 1930s. Yeah, I have my grandma's canning books. And so I looked things up in there, but even in there, it didn't have it covered. But I thought, now you can buy it commercially canned. You buy it at the store. There must be a way. So I just went on YouTube and put in canning this particular item, and there was a bunch of videos, and I watched video after video after video until I kind of felt, that I kind of had an idea of what I thought I would be comfortable with. And then I went ahead and tried it, and it worked beautifully. And it sat on my shelf in my pantry, some of the jars, because it made a lot of jars, for well over a year before I used them up, and it was just fine. So, that's just one example without telling you what the item is, because, I don't want to be accused of anything, because you need to do your own research. You need to watch your own YouTube videos. But my thing is, there are so many wonderful YouTube videos on canning. There are women that have put, and even some men who have put together some great videos on learning to do it the way the FDA says to do it, and, and to be safe and learn all the basics. And so, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So, and besides, I don't do everything the way that they do it. So I started, as a little girl helping my mom and my grandma and sometimes other ladies from church, because I remember when I was a little girl, that when it was canning season. Now, at my house, it's canning season year round, but in the summer when the harvest would start coming in of things and women would start canning, because that used to be just the way we did things, at least where I grew up it was. And so we would get together, we'd spend one day at one lady's house and help her can whatever it was she was canning. And then all the ladies would get to take a couple of jars home of the item, and the majority of it stayed there. And then we'd go to another house the next day and can whatever it was she had to can. And again, everybody took home a few jars. You'd bring your own jars. That's very important. I'm very possessive of my jars. And if you do a lot of canning and the expense and everything involved in jars, especially nowadays, yeah, you hang on to them. You don't want them to just wander off. So I do remember, that each woman would bring their, 2 or 3 jars of their own that they would be able to put the items in. And there would be several canners that would be going, and people, processing stuff and chopping up vegetables or whatever it was we were canning. But we would all help each other, and it just made it go so much faster. And now, being that I'm usually totally alone doing it on my own, it's a lot of work, but it's a skill that I am so thankful I have, and for so many reasons. For one thing, like, my garden's a bust this year. I'm just going to tell you right now. I know I had some people wanting me to do some garden shots in my raised beds and stuff. It's not happening this year because between puppies that we had and health problems that I was having and some other things that were going on, the gardens just didn't really happen much this year. I've got a few things that came up volunteer that I've just let go and and produce whatever. A few of the seeds that I planted actually came up. That was another thing. I did start planting a garden, and most of my seeds failed this year. I don't know why. And I had some of my neighbors say that they had that problem too. So I'm not sure what was going on with that, because our soil was amazing. Now I've got the 3 daughters here and a grandson on his way, and we'll probably make an attempt, since there's help, to do a fall garden. We'll see, but I'm just it's kind of a wash. But anyway, one of my neighbors down the road, she just thought, she brought me, or had me come pick up a huge box of summer squash, because she just had more than what she knew what to do with out of her garden. So I came home and put up 20-something pints of summer squash, and then I got a bunch of tomatoes, and I've been working on those, and the first canner of those will be done probably tomorrow. And so if I did not know how to can, now some of these things I could freeze, like the tomatoes you can freeze and then stew them up later. In fact, I do pre-freeze mine, because then the skins slip off really easily before I prep them to go into the canner. But that's a whole nother thing. But summer squash, I don't like it frozen. It seems really mushy, and I don't know. I just don't like how it turns out. But canned, I do like. But here's the other thing. Like, our electric bill is outrageous. And so we have to cut back as much as we can. Well, we can't have a bunch of freezers plugged in anymore because it's expensive. And not only that, power outages, you can lose everything in that freezer if the power stays off long enough. And so I've been trying to clean out freezers, and that's why I'm canning almost every day, is to put what's in the freezer, to put it in a jar, to put on the shelf, because whether I have electricity or not, what's on the shelf is going to be just fine. And not only that, like I will, one of the things I can is bean soup, the dried beans. And I have a, very simple way, the way everybody else does on YouTube. You just look at some videos and they'll show you pretty much the same way I do it. At least for how I do them in the jar, maybe not the whole canning process. But when I pre-do those jars of that, then all I have to do is, the dried beans are already cooked. And there's no soaking, there's no having to cook them all day long, to have soup. All I do is open the jar, throw it in a kettle, heat it up, and it's good to go. So there's a convenience factor that's really nice. But my biggest problem is finding enough shelf space to put everything on it. And that's a good problem to have. So I think that canning, plus I get stuff fresh out of the garden. I've got some potatoes that are about ready to be dug up that I did plant some potatoes, and they were kind of self-sufficient, and I do them in cardboard boxes in my garden, and then so they're kind of growing above ground, and then all I have to do is pull the cardboard box off when they're ready to harvest, go through the dirt and find my potatoes, and I miss less that way. I get more of my potatoes, and then that dirt just works into the garden. But canning new potatoes is like a great thing, and I really like having those on my shelf. So I'll go from the garden, I'll wash them off, chop them up, or however I'm going to do it, throw them in the jars and can them and put those on the shelf. So, and again, they're already cooked, ready to go, and they're easy to add to soups, or I can fry them up, or I've even done French fries, and you can Google this, how to can French fries, and where you just cut the potatoes like French fries, like before you would drop them in the oil, but instead you can them. And then when you are ready to make French fries, you just open your jar, you drain them off, throw them in your oil, and you've got French fries in just a matter of minutes. And, Marvin and I, we try these different things out and see, do we like it? And yeah, that works really good for us. Marvin loves when I can French fries, because then he knows, in the winter he can go, hey, I feel like some fries. And it's like, hey, no problem. Get the grease hot, and we've got fries in just a matter of minutes. So, so there is a convenience factor. It allows us to have fresher vegetables. And that's why I was saying about the potatoes. They're going straight from the dirt to the jar. I wash them off first. But, you're retaining more of your vitamins and minerals in your vegetables, in your fruits. The fresher they are, when you go to can them, the higher the nutrient value is. And so health-wise, I feel often, I used to do a lot of freezing. It was easy, it was convenient, but freezing, I find the change that it does to some foods, I just don't care for it. And putting those things in a jar works a lot better for me. So the taste, the nutrition, the convenience, the no electricity needed, it works pretty good. So it is not difficult to can. If I can do it, you can do it. It's not that hard. Because I do, there's water bath, there's pressure canning, depending on what you're canning. And I know I was terrified of doing the pressure canner by myself, because the old canners did not have very many, if any, safety features on them. Back like what my grandma used, there was no safety locks or anything, Now, the one my mom had, because I actually have her pressure canner now, it's not like the new ones. They've got so many levels of safety valves and locks and stuff that I probably wouldn't really be nervous canning in those. And where the one I got from her, it has one safety valve and one safety lock for the lid. And I think that's it. So you just have those layers. So I was a little nervous about it. I had to replace the seal. I had to get a new pressure valve. Um, and I found it was really easy to get the parts, not very expensive. I already had a lot of canning jars. In fact, when I moved out here to be with Marvin, when we got married, I left half my canning jars back where I used to live, just gave them away. And now I'm like, oh my word, because I've ended up having to replace them. And so every sale I could find, or even at yard sales or whatever, I was collecting canning jars. Now I think I have enough. And I save other jars too, because I'll put dried goods. I keep everything in glass that I possibly can. It keeps bugs and rodents out, and it retains a little more freshness, and there's nothing to taint your food or anything. Nothing that's going to contaminate anything. The glass you can keep really clean, and it doesn't put anything into the food like metal or plastics can do. So I just wanted to share that with you today, that if you do not know how to can, it's not that hard. And especially water bathing is really easy. And I highly recommend that somebody in every household knows how to can, so that when you do get stuff, because if you haven't figured it out yet, you will. It's important to have food put up for later. You just don't know what might not be available or what you might not be able to afford. And the more food you can put on your shelves and then be using it. I'm not one of these believers that you put it there and then let it set for 20 years, just in case you need it. No, everything I put up, I mean, we eat out of that pantry and we rotate through it. And we use it now. Even the girls are kind of getting into the, hey, can I go find some stuff in the pantry, to throw a meal together? Yeah, go for it. Knock yourself out. Anything in there, help yourself to use it. I like that my girls are learning how to use a pantry and how to work with what you've got, Yes. I feel good about anybody that's getting some survival skills, and canning is definitely one of them. Okay, well, that's pretty much what I had to say. It's late, and I need to go to bed. I am very tired, but so that you'll have a video come Saturday morning for your survival. Because I'd forgot that I hadn't done it yet when I was going to bed. And I'm like, oh, Marvin, I'm going to be a little late to bed tonight because I got to go do a video really quick for everybody. So before I say goodbye, and I need to say this on some other videos in case she isn't watching this one and doesn't see it to the end. But I want to thank Tara. She sent me a little gift, and it really had me like trying to figure out, what is this? Where is this from? I was kind of confused at first, but then I saw your note and I'm like going, oh, okay. So I just wanted to thank you for that. That was so sweet of you, and just really blessed me. What a wonderful surprise, and how it caught me off guard, I think just made it all the better when I'm trying to figure out what was going on. So anyway, I love all of you guys, and I got an email from Cassie again the other day. I hadn't heard from her in a while, and just kind of wondering how she was doing anyway, and then here comes this email. So I feel like I've gotten to know some of you, and there's a lot of you that are in my prayer journal and that I pray for. And I just thank you for being a part of my life and letting me share my thoughts and my ideas and my stories and all. And those of you that understand that, because I used to be on here every single day, and then life started happening a little more and a little more. And, and sometimes it's just very difficult. My life does not revolve around YouTube. And I hope it never does. But I love doing these videos and stuff, but sometimes there's just a lot of things going on, and it's not that easy to be able to find the time I need and gather my thoughts and stuff. And even though I really, really love doing this. So anyway, I thank you when you're, because there are several that have been just very understanding about that and know that life goes on, things happen, and you got to take care of that too. So thank you for your understanding. I've got so many things I want to talk to you guys about, and it's just a matter of finding the day and the time, to be able to sit down and just do that. And I will say this, I think when there's something that God's really laid on my heart and it's important, he always makes a way. He always clears the room or whatever, suddenly everybody's going somewhere. See, that's another thing, when you're used to just being, the two of you, and you're older, and, the house is pretty quiet other than, when the dogs have something to say about it. And now to be having, family coming home, oh, I love it. It is such a blessing, and we enjoy our kids, and we can't wait for our grandson to get here. But it changes things, and it puts more life in the house, and trying to find a quiet place. Sometimes, see, it's late at night right now, and everybody, including the dogs, are all sleeping wonderfully, and here I am talking to you guys, which I'm loving, but I'm also, I hope, can lay down and go to sleep without a dog waking me up because they need to go out or whatever, or whatever of the million things that can happen in the night to interrupt my sleep. But I just wanted to just thank you guys, those of you that have written to me, because again, that's my favorite thing. My most favorite thing is to get a letter, in the mail that I can hold on to, and I save them and I read them and reread them. In fact, I can see some right over there. So I keep them close by. I just enjoy them and find it so encouraging, and then the emails and the comments and everything. And please do, if you enjoy the videos, please remember to hit the like button, because it helps it go up in the algorithms. The comments do, and the more views that a video gets, and the likes and all of that, and it makes it possible for it to show up for other people to see too. So some of you have been really, really very helpful in those areas, and I thank you for that. This old woman who's trying to figure out technology. Well, that's the one nice thing about the girls being here, is they understand way more than we do. And so I'm always like, so could you maybe help me figure this out? Oh yeah, no problem. So maybe this old dog will learn a trick or two. All right, you guys have a great day today, and I'm going to go get some sleep, and because I got to be up tomorrow to can tomatoes, and I got a meeting tomorrow. Oh, I've got things I got to do. Yeah, I'm busy. Yeah. Oh well, it's all good. I love you guys. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.